So I'm gonna make this quick. My battery doesn't want to charge. But I've been rolling these regular mountain bike rims with those tires for a little bit now, and I've decided I want to go 700C on my 26-inch mountain bike. Since I've got my new Sens crank, 180mm. So what I've got to do, this is the rim here. You see through the rim that the brake does not line up anymore. So I'm going to cut this brake tower off here, move it up the inch and a half that it needs to be lined up with this rim here, and turn this bike into a 700C so I can actually race with it. Alright, so I got my V-brakes off, which this bike originally didn't come with V-brakes. It came with some center pulls, old style center pulls where the cable would have come through in here, and you would have had like the Y piece sticking way far out on each side, and it'd be pulling up through the middle. And somebody did me a favor before I got this bike and upgraded them to the Tektro V-brakes. So anyways, as you see, I got my frame stripped, cleaned right here, and I'm about to take the disc and not necessarily cut the metal, but I'm going to try to grind their weld and just get it thin enough to where I can break it off, and then I'll take my measurements and move it up, mark it out. Now, as you can see, I cut my brake tower off the frame. It used to be sitting right there, and what's happening is I've got it all cleaned up and smoothed down, and I'm going to measure off of this one, put the rim back on, measure them off, mark it, tack weld, make sure it's square to the frame, and finish off the weld, and then start the next one. And there you have it, folks. If I had a little more time, as you can see, I was sanding it down on the weld. If I had a little more time, I would come back and re-weld some of these low spots and then grind it fresh around, or use a little fill, just a little dab of my fingers to go around on that. But I got a time trial tonight, and that's what I'm trying to do, this conversion in a heartbeat, so I don't have to ride those fat tires, or that fat tire, and I'll get to ride something more like that little tire. So everything lines up, as you see, works well, not in the way of anything, not going to rub the existing frame. The frame didn't lose any structure, and that's going to be my 700C conversion on a mountain bike. So I'm going to go ahead and keep showing you clips as I do the other one as well, and get everything together. See, I sprayed the other side with some primer, that all cleaned up, looks pretty fairly good, decent. Got this side cut, stripped and cleaned. I'll sand it down. Can't see any evidence of the old where the old brake tower was welded in. Now I'm going to put my tire on and mock it up into place. Alright, so we got a little piece right here that's cleaned up. We're going to mock up and the brake into position. So what I'm going to do just for now is stick it in the hole at the bottom of the mock so that it actually holds this straight and shoves the brake towards the rim. And I got and that's about the area. All we've got to have to do is line up our brake pad with our rim. This is not an adjustable dropout in the rear. And so basically we need to hold it flat to our brake here, to our rim here, while I take my gun and I just tack it into position. Once I tack it in position here, I'm actually going to have to let it cool for a second, because the metal is going to expand and retract again as it cools down. As soon as it retracts again, then I'll reposition my brake pad and I'll put a tack on the opposite side so that it doesn't happen. And then I have to immediately pull this off before the plastic sleeve on the inside gets too hot and starts to melt on me while I finish off my weld. So let's get to it. When people work on bicycles, they normally use a TIG welder. It's a lot cleaner. You get smaller welds, a lot lower heat. But all I've got is this old POS MIG welder. I use a really super low heat, super low speed, and I just spot weld as I go along, and it seems to work fine. Just a little bit more cleanup than you normally would have on if you were using a TIG. gap in there. Now we have our brake tower locked in place. So let's go ahead and finish her off and slowly build it in all the way around. This gap that you're seeing here is actually the gap that was created when we were cutting with our cut disc. But it's not a problem if you take your time, use low heat and a low speed, you can slowly fill it in. It'll be just as strong as it was when it was in its original position. So let's see if we can fill this bad boy in without melting the frame. You like that paint burning? Still good for not cleaning it all the rest of the way up. Move this to the top here so I can position and rest my hand. You're always going to get a better weld if you can steady your hand on something before you just go to town. Otherwise, you'll be like the shaky painter. You're going to notice me working back and forth. This is because I don't want it to get too hot. It'll melt right through the frame if it does. So in order to fill in nicely and to make sure that it grabs really well, we're going to take our turns going back and forth on each side in order to give the other side a chance to cool. That is well, my spokes. No, my rim doesn't like this. Got a little hot there. Alright. Proving itself to be a bit difficult today on this side. I think it's more or less my lack of light. Helmet's not exactly easy to see in. Oh shit. Am I welding my spokes or is it just hitting on the back side? Just hitting on the back side. I think it's shit. It won't spark for me right. There it goes. Don't ever do what I do and lose your damn patience. That's the first time you'll burn through something or fuck something up. Pardon the French. Alright. Now I just got to clean her up. Alright, we got it all cleaned up, sanded, and it's a little rough, but I'm just going to prime it today, and I'll smooth it out with a little bit of a filler, and saying that off you won't even know, and it ain't going to add any more weight than having adding anything else onto it. But anyways, I'm about to prime this bad boy, let it dry, and I'll get the 700 set with a tire and a tube, and get on there with the brakes, line everything up, adjust the brakes, and see how we're rolling. And then maybe we get frisky, we'll do the front. Who knows? Anyways, so stay tuned. And there you go. We have a 700C by 25 tire on my 700C 750 matrix rim. The V-brakes are back in place, lined up perfectly with the rim. I'm going to stop by the shop and have my cassette tightened and get the proper air pressure, and at the same time I'll have a gauge for these Presto valves. Oh, I just accumulated a set of aluminum handlebars like this that I've got to swap out, and I'm going to be ditching the front brake lever and the front brakes temporarily until, I do the conversion on this other set of forks I have. I've actually got a really nice set of forks. I'm just going to cut the towers off and do the same thing. They're chromoly, they're super light, they're tapered, they're really nice, and they are threadless, so I'll be getting a threadless upgrade pretty soon. So that's my GT Alterra Tequesta mountain bike converted into 700C with my 180mm Sens crank and my 48 tooth rocket sprocket. I'll be able to get moving a little bit. So before I get to do the time trial tonight, I'll change my handlebars, get the aluminum bars on here, and I'm also going to put 2 white water cages on there instead of that one, so I can have a little bit of water. So you see I'm hot, sweaty, unshaved, and dirty. Rex was Texan out of New Orleans.
Y'all better watch my videos, because I'll be by winning all week. Yes, indeed.